Hello, welcome to a video lecture that I've prepared for you, introducing you to our second major assignment, the Website Analysis Memo. In this presentation, I want to talk about, kind of introduce you to analyzing a website by looking at the Westchester University website, talking about design considerations and website anatomy and terminology. I want to introduce you to the assignment sheet, which I've posted on D2L, and maybe we'll look at a couple of student examples. If this lecture gets to be kind of long, I may break it at some point and come back and make it a two-part video. So I have also talking about memo writing and talking about possible sites to explore for this assignment. So, and then defining your audience and purpose for this assignment, talking about possible criteria for evaluation. So they're kind of in the assignment sheet. And one of the things that we're doing with this assignment, we're creating a memo that's kind of an informal report, and we're analyzing a website, and we have to follow kind of a particular structure in this document, and also we're going to use screen captures to help illustrate what we're talking about. So use of screen captures will help us with the next assignment, the Document Standards Manual, in which you will be developing communications policies for an organization, both internally and externally, and telling people how to create these types of documents. So anyway, that's the following assignment. That's the Document Standards Manual. Let's just focus on the website analysis for now. So to get us started, I wanted to take a look at the Westchester University website. So let me go to that right now. Okay, so I chose to talk about the Westchester University website because it's something that we're all familiar with, so a good common starting point. And we've used it enough that we're kind of aware of things that we like or don't like about it, or things that work or don't work so well. So this is kind of our chance to give feedback on this. So one possible website for this assignment is the Westchester University website, but I was also going to talk later about possibly creating the website analysis for the company that you're applying for with the employment packet. So we'll talk more about that. So when we get to the Westchester University website, one thing that's pretty obvious to most people is it's dominated by a very large image. And it seems like the image has kind of grown in the past couple of years, that it's usually even larger than your browser window. So you have to kind of frame it up yourself. So, and we do see on the Westchester website the use of the logo. Looks like it's just text, but it's currently our university logo. And up here at the top, kind of talking about some terminology here. So we call this the banner up here in purple, and talked about the logo. We have what are called utilities over here on the right side of the banner. So to log into webmail or MyWCU or D2L. And there's a search bar up here, and there's a couple other links on departments and how to apply. So I think it's personally, I think it's a pretty succinct navigational system. I've seen it evolve over the years, so seems to be working pretty well right now. And then below that, and we can say that this is attached to the banner or not attached to the banner, but we have a navigation bar here, and it appears on every page of the Westchester University website. So we would call this persistent navigation. So sometimes you'll get to a website, and in addition to having the banner and the persistent navigation at the top, there might be some navigation down the side on the left. and that's usually section navigation. So, okay, so as we scroll down, we have this large image. We'll come back and talk about that. And it is a very dominant image. And then things change after that. We get news and the president's job shadow and the events calendar and some factoids or infographics. And then we get the footer, basically, of the web page. And we have some more utilities down here. So I mentioned the login for email and such was a utility, and the search bar was utility. And these are some more utilities down here. So, okay, so that's a basic structure of a web page. Going back up to the top here, this is basically a single column web page because, look at that image, it just dominates things. So, but then we kind of break down a little bit. We might call this a 5-column design here on the news part. And the events calendar, again, maybe 5-column. The factoids and infographics, maybe 4-column. So things change with this website. Okay. So one of the things that we notice up here is the very large image. And so we can talk about what's going on with this image. And why is it so big? So one of the reasons it's so big is to appeal to the person visiting the web page, to appeal to them visually. So there's a lot, we talk about rhetoric and writing, but there's also visual rhetoric. And so this is persuasive. It draws people in on a number of different levels. So basically what I'm seeing with the use of the large images is analogous to what they used to do about 20 years ago with a document that many colleges had called a view book. And a view book would be something that they would send to you when you wrote to ask for application materials, and they may have even put the application materials in the view book or sent them as separate documents. But the view book was designed to kind of appeal to you emotionally about this school and make you want to go there. So we oftentimes see a couple of recurring themes. What we're seeing here with images of some of the historic buildings on campus is what we might call the ivy-covered walls. So people want to go to a college that, looks pretty, kind of has the university ethos going for it, and has these ivy-covered walls. So we see a lot of these on the Westchester University website. We also see images of maybe people interacting with computers. So the latest technology, kind of letting people know something about that. Interestingly, for many of us, we kind of sit in front of a computer by ourselves, but they always try to make it look like a more social act. There's usually 2 or 3 people gathered around the computer while they're looking at it. So another thing is student life. So you might see, campus organizations, Greek life and stuff depicted on the university website. Another big thing is diversity. And so they'll try to capture, images that they think show a diverse student body and such. So those are some of the main things. I wanted to go back and refresh this page a few times and look at some of the images, because another thing we're seeing right now is use of summer images or summer programs. So, okay, another thing kind of with web page anatomy is that frequently the logo in the upper left corner is also a link back to the home page. So I'm just going to click on it a few times and that'll make it refresh. Okay, so here we're kind of showing, that we have some events on campus, frequently outdoors. Here's a canopy or tent. And this is the university president, Chris Fiorentino, and he's personable. He's talking to people. He's not, stuffy in a tie and standing over them. So there's a message that's trying to be conveyed here. And here we kind of have the ivy-covered walls again. There's the old university library. And here we have summer programs. So, okay, back to main hall. And let's see if we have any others. Ivy-covered walls, summer programs, more ivy-covered walls. This is Ruby Jones Hall. And I thought there were a few more summer programs, but we'll just stop right there. Okay, so wanted to kind of talk about this assignment a little bit in terms of what you're familiar with. Basically, this is a analysis and evaluation. There are a number of ways I could have set it up. I could have set it up as a human resources evaluation or some other, type of document like an owner's manual or something. But I think websites are fairly interesting and something that we're familiar with, and especially the Westchester University website. But as I'll probably reiterate here, I would also strongly encourage you to think about doing this website analysis for the website of the company that you targeted with your employment packet. So hopefully you've become pretty familiar with that. Okay, so let me go back to my PowerPoint notes for a second. Okay, so the next thing that I had on my agenda was to talk to you about the assignment sheet. So let me go there. Okay, so from our D2L website, if you go into the content area, I've set up a new module, Website Analysis Memo, and here is the assignment sheet. So let's take a look at that. And let me pop this out a little bit. Okay, so here's the assignment sheet, and I have this scenario here. You can ignore it or pay attention to it if you want. Basically, I was trying to set something up that a client basically has come to you asking you to evaluate their website because you've taken this course. So maybe that's kind of cheesy, but we can also, talk about, like I said before, writing this website analysis memo for the company that you're applying for in the employment packet. So I say here in the second paragraph, one of the purposes of the assignment is to get you to take an arm's length view, a meta view of a corporate organizational website as a type of document and analyze the things that go into the construction of an effective website so that you can think critically about what makes a good organizational website. Should you ever be involved in the creation of an organizational website, and in this day and age, it's not something limited strictly to techies, so you might be involved. So also, the assignment after this, the document standards manual, one of the things we're dealing with is corporate communications policies in that assignment, the document standards manual. And so you could talk about websites as communications policies. So anyway, but that's the next assignment. So back to this assignment. Your paper should be 3 to 4 pages in length. It'll take the form of a memo. And okay, so I think I forgot to mention the memo aspect here, but and it'll also follow along the lines of a critique or informal report. And we're going to be using screen captures and text boxes to illustrate the points you're trying to make in your evaluation and analysis. And then I have this rundown on typical critique or informal report, how it's organized, and maybe I'll talk more about that later. And so I talk about the introduction. After the introduction, some criteria you may want to include or address. And so I was going to mention that again when I talk about criteria. Well, let me go ahead and mention it here. I talk about rhetorical situation, audience, and purpose. I talk about rhetorical appeals, ethos, pathos, and logos. Elements of effective website, navigability, readability, user friendliness, appearance, content, logical linking, helpful links. So usually after we've navigated a website a few times, we have a sense of how much we like it. So elements of effective websites for your specific type of website. So there I'm talking about genre identification and developing your criteria for evaluation. So, okay. And so I think that's it for now. Let me go back and see what else is in my notes. Okay, so we talked about the assignment sheet. I think the next thing I wanted to do was talk about some student examples or samples. And I think what I'm going to do at this point, this has gotten to be, a good chunk of time, is break off this discussion for now and give you a chance to watch this video and process it. And then I'll add a follow-up video and talk about more of these points that I've got here. So what I'm going to do for now is wrap up this video and post it, and then we can talk about it when we have our Zoom conference, and then I'll be adding some additional notes and materials after that. Okay, thank you for your time and attention. Talk to you later.